Google Analytics, we had talked about it maybe 2 sessions ago, and I quickly discovered that there had been an update to their the way that you would collect the global site tag. And that global site tag is essentially an HTML code that you need to connect your MyLO site with your Google Analytics account. So I just wanted to go over that process again, because I did have some time to go through it. And so I just wanted to show that off. And we are in the process of correcting the current written documentation on that, and verifying that the video is the same.
So does that mean that if we've had it before, that it's not working anymore?
That's not the case. So if you
Oh,
have the previous code already, it's still going to be collecting the data the same. It's just about the current default settings that Google Analytics gives you when you're first collecting the code that you need to connect to your site. So let's just go through the process. It's probably easier to see it rather than just talk about it without anything there. So I'm going to first just jump to my analytics account in a separate tab, because I'm going to jump back to a MyLO homepage. I should probably, whoops.
And Maurice,
I'm sorry. Okay, I just got a message in my Zoom window.
Can't hear you, Amaris.
She's frozen.
Okay, can you hear me now? It seems like my internet connection might be unstable. I'm not sure. Let me drop that in the chat.
A lot of people today.
here we go.
Sorry about that. Wow. Okay. I was trying to let everybody know that my internet connection was unstable, but then I got disconnected entirely. So we'll give it a second for us all to get back. Woo. That was new. Okay. Whoops. So can everybody hear me all right now and are able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So again, the steps that I want to take here, I don't yet have any reports that I can look at because I'm at the point where I'm brand new to connecting my MyLO site to my Google Analytics account. So I haven't started collecting data. I'm at that point where I want to. So I'm going to go into the admin screen, the little cog here down at the bottom. And if I'm starting out brand new, I wouldn't actually have any of the property columns or the view columns here to the right. So I would start out with just create account. This is within your organization, maybe different categories. When it comes to league, you probably aren't going to be tracking different websites or different apps as far as traffic. So if that's the case, your account can just be, your league name or the website name. If you are tracking different websites or apps for site traffic, then the account name, you might call it advocacy or whatever the different kind of category or area is associated to what the properties are that you're following or tracking. I didn't enter anything, so I'm going to call this just demo site because that's what we're going to add it to. When it comes to the account data sharing settings, I usually just leave the default settings. These are just the sharing options that the Google Analytics would be pulling from you. And we go next. And this is where in the property setup, where it is a bit different than it was I'm not sure how long ago we created that documentation. It might be a few years ago now. But here in the property setup, you have to click over to show advanced options. Before I do that, just to point out, these options up here should be filled out by default, because you should already be signed into your Google account, and it will know that where you're located and know the currency of your location.
Could you pump up the size of the
Oh, sure.
text? Thank you.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, that's much better.
Okay. So the property name, we can get back to that because we will be required to fill that in. But show advanced options. Down here, this is what we require in MyLO for the connection to actually work properly. We need the universal analytics property. So let me make that smaller. There's this little knob here. Once you turn that on, it's going to ask for the URL. You can just copy this from your from the URL bar. Let's go with Demo City.
Could you do that over again? That went pretty fast.
Sure.
That little knob, I missed the little.
Oh yeah. So if I have, I've already clicked show advanced options, and this is also a toggle as well. Once you click show advanced options, you see the pop-up, and off to the right, it is grayed out at first. And once you click on that, it opens up those additional options down here.
Okay.
And by default, this one is selected, the HTTPS version rather than the one without the S. And that's what we want because all MyLO sites do have that protocol. So I'm popping back over to my MyLO homepage. I'm going to copy the entire thing just to have it in my clipboard. But if I do copy the entire thing and paste that in as is, I need to remove the protocol at the beginning, just so that it doesn't get rejected. And before I go back up to name this property, it does ask if we want to create both a Google Analytics 4 and a Universal Analytics property. This is the Google Analytics 4 is part of the new update where it does not communicate with the MyLO site. So all we need is a Universal Analytics property only. So select this option because I believe this is also the difference between the office hours of a couple of sessions ago. I think that we used the create both and it didn't properly connect because it wasn't collecting traffic. Here, you want to choose Universal Analytics property only. Okay, so before I continue to the next step, I'm coming up to name the property. I'm just going to call it demo site traffic. I really could just name it the same as the account. It doesn't matter really the difference. And so next, and these are just questions about my business or about my league. So industry category, I believe that our documentation has a good description of what these are helpful for. I always struggle to know which is the best, but it may help with some of the things that Google Analytics would recommend to you or kind of marketing information. And then business size is, I think, required. I can't remember if we went through this and these weren't required. I'm going to go ahead and try if I don't answer these questions, but again, you can answer as many or as little as you want here. I'm pretty sure I can move on without answering. So I'm going to go ahead and create. Okay, yeah, so it's not required there. Accept the terms. And once that happens, you're automatically taken to, or brought to this screen here. And what we want is the global site tag down here. So under that heading, it does give you a little description, copy and paste that into the HTML of your web page. So at this point, once we click into that, it highlights, okay, and we do have to right click and copy or use your keyboard functions, but copy this in its entirety. We come back to our home page, and sorry, I need to masquerade first. Oh no. Sorry, I should have made sure that this was a member. So quick sidebar to add this person in. Okay, MyLO Webmaster. Okay, so coming on back to my homepage. So now I'm going to make a new draft or edit draft if you have a current draft of your homepage. And we're scrolling down to the advanced settings. So open up that collapsed field. And I already have one here, but I'm just going to remove that. And we want this set to full HTML. Just because we are using HTML and it does need to be added to the HTML to properly work once we save this. So I just use my keyboard function to paste what I had copied in. You can leave the extra space. I'm just nitpicky and removed it, but you're set to go once you have plugged this in. Now we're ready to save it. So I don't have any other change I need to make. The only thing before you save is that you do need to publish it so that it does, it's in effect immediately. So before I save, I'm going to jump back here to the analytics page. I didn't close this for a reason because there's a status section here. Right now, there's no connection between this code, this specific property within my Google Analytics account and my Demo City MyLO site. So once I publish that connection or publish that save, this status should immediately update. So I'm going to come back in just a second after publishing. Okay, so doesn't look like a change for us there, but now I should be able to refresh, I believe. I thought it would happen immediately there. There we go. Receiving traffic in past 48 hours. So you may not see the reports being filled. I'm not sure if it's that quick, but at least the status lets you know immediately if you did it properly. If you've pasted it in and you've published your change and saved it on the homepage, and you refresh this tab here for the analytics and you see no difference in the status, that lets you know that maybe you need to recopy this, or maybe it's not put into the proper place in your homepage, or double check that you pasted it into the full HTML side rather than into the WYSIWYG side. There might be several different things, or that you didn't publish the change yet and you may have just saved it as a draft. But this is, yeah.
Before we leave this, I'd like to repeat Liz's question and ask if we've already done this cut and paste and put in the connection, do we need to refresh that and do it over again?
Not at all. That
Okay.
connection is still in place. Yeah.
I'd like to know, when you were on the page where you went to advanced settings, right before you did that, you said there was something that we would come back to on that page above it. Unless I misunderstood what you were saying. It wasn't on this one, it was on the when you were setting up the analytics.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
before the,
The advanced, when we went to the advanced settings, there was something up,
With the
up,
property name?
I can actually go through the steps again and we can get to that point.
Create a name.
Oh, okay. Yes, it was the property name. That's what, thank you, Mary Jo. That's what we had got back to because the property name was required. And it's just, like I said, the account within your entire like Google Analytics account, these refer to different categories within your organization, but they're very helpful to larger organizations that have a lot of different tracking going on. You may not find it so helpful to have multiple different accounts if you're only tracking one property or so all that to say, when you're going, especially when you're coming into here brand new, you probably only need to create an account. And once you're creating a brand new account, it does proceed to create the property as well, as we saw. So,
Could you just show us how you start? I don't need to see the whole process again.
oh yeah. So
Like where's the page? Where did you find this page to start it all?
I first came to the analytics website. So
Oh, okay.
this
In
That's where you
Google.
start the whole
in
thing.
Google, yeah. And the reason why it started me there is because I am logged into my Google account. And so I just went to, Gmail, entered in my email, or I think my browser is already automatically signed in. But I just have to be signed into my Google account first. You can actually get to it though, and then be presented with the login screen for Google. And then you'll be brought to, let's see, if I go
So
directly.
you don't need to start on your MyLO site.
You need to have both available because yes, you're going to start on your Google Analytics if that's what your
Yeah, and
your
then you
question
put in
is.
your website name, your MyLO name. Yeah.
So that's
Okay,
why it's
all right.
helpful to have them both available because you will copy. It's easier to copy the address from your address bar.
Okay.
So I am on the Google Analytics like homepage dashboard, like main dashboard. This is where I land when I log into my Google Analytics. Then I click over to admin. And this is where I'm already automatically presented with this screen. If I'm starting out as a brand new user, let's actually see if I can check any one of these for being a fresh brand new user, because I think that instead of being presented with the create account, create property, and create view, you might just be automatically pushed into create that new account.
So
Okay,
if you have a Gmail account, are you considered a user then?
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a Gmail account, that gives you access to all Google products. So signing into your Gmail, just visit that analytics.google.com and you'll be led into the dashboard.
Okay, great, easy.
Yeah, so let's see if, okay, no, I do have some properties there. But okay, so if you are coming in as a brand new user, it should typically start you out with this screen. So rather than seeing create account, create property, create view, it will just say, hey, set up an account because you're not tracking anything yet, essentially. So I can go through the steps, or was that what you were looking for, Ingy?
No, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
What happens? Oh, go ahead.
If one wants to track the views of two pages, such as your main page, your landing page, and your major fundraising page, for example, would you create two properties within the same account?
Good question. Thank you. That is going to cover the one that you create to put on your homepage. That is going to cover your entire site. So I wasn't. I can pop over to the. Oh, actually, sorry. Let's see if it has already started collecting traffic. I wouldn't imagine we'll be able to see much. referring to the demo city page here. But it wouldn't hurt to check it out. So yeah, if you place that code into your homepage, you should see all of your website's traffic. So it looks
Meaning
like,
web pages?
yes, all
The
of the web
web pages
pages
within.
within.
Yeah.
So let's see the active page right now. And this is just one very broad overview of what's happening on my demo city site right now. You can delve into these reports, and I think it might be through content. I do need to brush up on the reporting here because I'm not entirely sure.
How did you get to that reporting? Did you get to that reporting by going to Google, or was it from your website, your league website?
I'm still on the analytics here on this.
Okay, so this is not from the website. If you just go back to your Google account.
Right.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
And so on this toolbar, or the menu on the left-hand side, reports is, I click on real time under reports, and that opened up all of these little ones here. Okay, I just saw the question in the chat, but I think that one was asked already. So just to give an overview of what's happening on the site right now, it does let me know what the active page is. And if I were to move around, I would imagine if I refresh this, it should reflect that. Just a preview to preview what the reporting can look like. It should show me, oops, that the person is within my site and not just tracking the homepage. So it's not an exact example of what the original question was looking for, but that at least shows that Google Analytics is properly tracking the entire site, not just the homepage.
Great.
I saw there was a whole list of things, you know, like conversions and stuff like that. Is there a primer or a place we can go to find out what all those things mean in terms of analytics?
Yeah. Let's see if I can find we have, well, Google has documentation for all of this. And that's actually what we have pulled from to be able to update our documentation on Google Analytics. So let's see if I can grab that for us. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat as well. This is Google Analytics documentation. Okay. So this is the exact one that we need because it's a universal analytics property documentation. So it's set up analytics for a website specifically for us. And it goes over what we just went over: create an analytics account. That was the first step. Create a property. And then let's see. Oh, and then here we have the step 4 where it was create a universal property, and it turns that on. And then we do have to jump down here. But again, our documentation on MyLO will also clean this Google instruction up to match exactly what you need to do for MyLO, because Google does provide information for everybody. So it's going to give options of what you need to do versus what somebody else needs to do. So yeah, but these are instructions, just how to set that up. And then I think, let's see, in this right-hand side menu, it might give recommendations. Here we go. Get started with analytics. So I think this might be the one that I probably should have dropped in the chat there. Let me drop that back. So this is set up the Google Analytics for the first time. Actually, okay. So under optional activities, I think that's probably going to be the most helpful. It starts to go on about how to use Google Analytics. You can add users, you can add events, or learn about events. They might already be included. And then the conversions, like you mentioned. So as you start to open up different documentation, you might spider out and find more that is helpful too.
Did you put that in the chat? I don't see it.
Not yet. I'm going to
Oh,
drop
okay.
that now.
Well, I was concerned about, so I'm the webmaster, but what if I drop dead? How do my other, I mean, it's associated with my Gmail account. How do people carry on after
Yeah.
I drop dead?
That I mean, it is a valid question. And one thing that you can do if you instead don't want it to be connected to your personal Gmail, you can also create a Google account using a different email. So it would be, helpful if you had a league email, you could use that to set up a Google account, and that could be what you use for your Google Analytics.
But what if I mean, I've already had this for a couple of years or something. How do they take over mine?
I'm
It's
not sure if there's a way to transfer. Let's see. Or I guess to another Google account. I'm not sure if it's possible. How can I?
Looks like you can.
Export,
There you
how
go.
to export all data from analytics. So you can probably import too, right?
The next one says ownership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking too. So this one, I wonder if they mean account within, like, as in the property and the
Oh.
account, or do they mean account as in owner of the account?
Well, that looks like it should do it, but I have to have somebody who can get into my account to do that, right? So that's important information to have for your league.
Right. Let's see. I'm gonna double check this one over here too. How to transfer Google Analytic ownership to new Gmail without losing data. Okay,
That's the one we want.
let's see. I would suggest to provide the Google Analytics admin access to the new Gmail ID. Here's the link for your reference. Once you provide the admin access, then log in with new email ID and remove the old email ID access from the Google Analytics account. Wow, they make that sound super easy. Let me drop this thread into the chat, and then let's visit the link that they provided. So this is about access and data restriction management. I wonder if it's similar to like adding users. So always we're looking at just the universal analytics. You can assign user permissions in analytics at the account, property, and view levels. So if you give them access at the account level, I'm assuming then they have the umbrella of access to property and view. And then the same if you give them access to property, they would have access to the views. Yeah, so I think that you can assign others administrators. It sounds like they would have the full access. So that might be the best way to have, some repetition in your league, which is always a good thing to have multiple people knowing the same stuff.
And they wouldn't have access then to my Gmail account.
Right. they would just have full control of your analytics account. So any other sites that you're tracking, they would have access to that too.
Well, I saw somebody said that they had a league account. And when we were working on this before, that wasn't, I don't think that, I think that we were told to use our own account, but I see if we start from scratch, that would be a good idea.
Right. Yeah. For folks that haven't yet implemented it, it's a nice, cleaner way. Because yeah, once, especially, I realized that you can create a Google account with any email address. It really makes things a lot cleaner, just in your own life too, where you don't have to have use your Gmail and your work email or whatever other emails you have going on. You can consolidate as much as possible.
Yeah, and one thing you can do with a Gmail account is you can forward any mail that comes to it too, so that you can forward it to your own account, your own email.
Right.
Account. And so you won't miss any email, but you know, it just makes everything cleaner.
Yeah.
But that's there, again, another thing you should document. So if I drop dead, somebody's going to
That
have
forwarding.
to change the forwarding. This came up because somebody had a real problem and couldn't do their work. And there are just so many things we do in our business for the league that there are processes that we're relying on one person and we don't realize it.
Yeah. Although the email still goes to the league account, it just also gets sent to me and actually several other people.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's great. But you still, I mean, I think I would have
And
it.
we can all log into the league account as well. And
Right.
everything is in there.
Right. Okay.
Maddie,
I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
is this just a plain ordinary Gmail account that you're talking about?
Yes, it is.
You know, we got into a pretty fancy setup so that we could have emails from PayPal being routed to 8 different people. And it's a complicated mess. It sounds like yours is a little more straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different approaches that you can take, but yeah, we have one email account that's associated with our browser, I guess, our website. And then we have just a Gmail account. And, you know, in fact, the analytics.
Whoops.
To me.
Do we have time? Do we have time to hit another topic? Because I have some questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, because Rusty did ask in the chat, again, if you have an existing league email address, you can use that to create a Google account. It won't create a Gmail address along with it, but that will give you access to the Google Analytics itself. But if you are looking to just create a Gmail so that you can have access, it can be whatever you like. And then that would also, provide you with a Gmail inbox if you needed to use that email, for general league use. So hopefully that answered the question. And then, yeah, we can go ahead and move on to anybody who has some questions. Ingi, do you want to start us off?
She's muted.
Sorry, I'm unmuted.
Oh,
I'm
there you
having trouble with tables because I can't make them wider. I don't seem to have much control over tables once they're in a document. We're also having some password issues. So I don't want to dominate, but if anyone else has any other topics that may be of general interest.
Well, let's jump into the tables. I mean, we can just keep going and then we'll move to the next person as we go. I just need to masquerade again, but with tables, if you are looking to customize them and not just go with the default look that MyLO provides, you just need to save your changes to full HTML. So let's jump in and show what I'm talking about. So I'm going to add a table to this page. Let's add, using the create a table icon, let's leave it with 2 columns and 2 rows. That's fine. So I'll add some terms. Whoops. Okay. So once I have it to where I want it to be,
All right,
because
so how did you just make it bigger? Because did you just pull on that end?
yes. So
Yeah, I-
just like you would in Word, I'm just manipulating it.
Okay, great. Now,
I'm
could you make the team column narrower or wider, just the team column? That's
They-
what I've.
They do
Haven't-
move together. So you can make the table wider, but the columns or rows cannot be made smaller or bigger. They're just complementing each other. They're equal in size.
So somehow my tables ended up unequal in size and I was trying to make them equal. And I couldn't, normally you can just click on the side, the line on the vertical line and move it back and forth, and it won't let you do that. Is that true?
Is the table as wide as the page? Like the body of the page, or?
Yeah.
That might be why you can't. Are you trying to make it bigger, like wider than it
No, I
is?
just want to make one of the columns the same size as the other columns, and it won't do it.
It might be easier if we work with your page. Would I be able to masquerade as you and
Yeah,
find it,
please.
or? Okay.
Yeah, please do. So it's Hudson, Ohio.
And what's your username?
You mean the website name?
No, your username.
Oh, Inge, INGE .orant.
Okay.
There I am.
Now I can travel over to your site.
Oh, that's while we're on this. Okay, so I filled out all this information with my photo and everything.
Mhm.
How do you see that?
So if we go back to the user, this is the user page, and it's only visible to you or other webmasters of your group that can come visit this page. The other function is I'm gonna come back to, it's one of the articles that you're able to create. So
Because
actually,
okay, so we're just getting ready to launch this new version, and I want everyone to, log in and create their own password. And when they do that, they get all this page with other information like their address, their picture, their bio.
oh, I see. Yeah, what they had just filled out.
Yes, but if you're filling all that out, who is it for?
Well, if they or webmasters are able to create a member spotlight. That was what I was talking about with the articles. So it's a type of article, and you can look through the database and add that person. We haven't like very regularly seen this be used, but it is available as a type of article, and it's helpful when you add your picture because then you're able to see the person, and otherwise it would
Okay,
just
I
have
see.
their first and last name, and that's kind of it. So
Okay. All right, well, we can deal that with another time. Right now, if we could look at the table that is messed up, I would appreciate it.
what page is that?
Go to members only.
Okay, where is that?
And scroll down. Okay, so I have 2 issues here. Okay, see where it says committees? For some reason, it's only showing the first column.
So
But
this,
then when you go to read more, it'll show the whole thing.
right. So this part is just a preview. This is called the summary, and it's only going to pull about 200 to 300 characters of HTML by default. So the
Oh.
table itself is longer than that in HTML. So it's not going to show the full table on this page.
So you can't change that, because it would be fine if it
You-
just showed the top column, but it's just kind of odd that it's just showing one column.
You
Mhm.
can
Just-
change that, but it does have to be copied from the HTML side of the draft. So if we come in here and if I wanted to show the entire table, that's pretty simple because then I just have to copy the entire block of HTML. And sorry, my browser's taking a while. Okay, so this is what the entire table looks like.
Right, and you'll see how the columns
And-
are uneven. You see how voter service is skinny and climate crisis is wide?
Yeah, it might be based on the lettering.
But voter service would not go
Hmm.
into one word. So I
It
tried,
wouldn't stay in one line.
yeah, it wouldn't stay in one line.
I'm not entirely sure on that right now, but as far as being able to see the entire table in the summary, we need to open up the summary. So we click on Edit Summary, and this pops up under our summary header. We come back down to the body and disable rich text. That's what we want to click on. That's going to show the HTML side of what we're working with. From here, I'm just copying the entire thing.
Does Control A work on that?
Yes, all
Okay,
your keyboard functions work. And once you paste that in, then that's going to force the summary to display everything that you've put in there. So that's the entire table that would be displayed. You would just, before you save this, be sure to publish. While we're in here, the other question that you had about kind of like customizing the table so that it's not just the default display that MyLO outputs it in, you can, instead of, I'm going to enable rich text again. So instead of disable rich text, what you can do is change the WYSIWYG, change that to full HTML. And from here, any changes that you applied in WYSIWYG will stick, or you can also even manually manipulate the width. So, or any of the other parts, you know, you could change the height if you wanted to. But the width is available for each one of these. And that's one way of forcing the change.
yeah, you can see the different widths. They're not that different though.
Not that different, but it's definitely
What,
looking at it,
877,
you can see.
880, yeah.
But yeah, so copying the HTML into the summary will force whatever you want to see to,
Do you have to
fully
erase the
display
body
there.
then?
What
Do you
was
have
that?
to- Do you have to delete the body?
You do not have to. No, it won't show up twice. That's a good question. So the summary is strictly for lists. So the list on the homepage of promoted items, or the list of calendar events, the list of articles. The summary is strictly for those places, for those areas. The body is going to show at the top of your content page. So they won't show up twice anywhere.
But
Okay,
you know,
thank you.
you might want to think about whether every time you change something in the body, then you're going to have to copy all that HTML into the summary. You might want to just have a concise thing, maybe the header on that summary, not the whole thing, because do you see
Oh,
what
I
I'm
see.
saying?
Mhm.
It's an upkeep thing that can be a pain. I wanted to know if she set up all her tables in Word and had everything formatted nicely in Word, could she paste that in and it would look better?
It is hit or miss, especially with Word, because some of the formatting doesn't translate properly. And so it either gets lost or kind of both at the same time. It also causes a lot of HTML that's just kind of empty. It's sitting there and useless because it was working in Word, but there's not a translated version in WYSIWYG. So it may not be the exact same thing that you saw in Word, what you would see that you would paste into MyLO.
You know, when you look at this this HTML, all these TDs are having a width of 77. That seems a little weird. You know, you have the first thing, which it has the width of the table, you know, at the beginning, class, and the width of the table. But each of these some, or at least a lot of these TDs have 877, which is just one pixel different than the width
Yeah,
of the
I
whole
noticed that
table.
too. Yeah, it's just one number different, so.
For 11 there, yeah, it's it is rather large, it seems like, but at the same time, I'm not entirely sure if that is rather big. I mean, the 800 that's as wide as our slideshow item is. So
It's huge.
yeah,
I
it's
want-
going
I
to be
It
want-
doesn't look that, yeah.
well,
I
Can we
wonder
go
if
back
you
and see what it looks like? Did you publish?
saving it as HTML.
Yeah, leave it as what you just did. Let's see what a change looks like.
Okay, so let's publish that. And now we're going to see the entire thing. So that's where, this is a little bit large. And actually, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It is a bit larger than the content like screen, where the width of this page is about 800 pixels. And this is 877. If I click on the committee's page itself, so I think the different widths they don't really matter. I think the one at the top, the one that dictates the table's width, is superior, because otherwise, if that wasn't the case, every one of these columns would be pretty much as wide or wider than
Yeah,
the
right,
content of the
right.
page or the content area. Yeah. So
What if you make the page smaller? How does it size?
if I make the page smaller, it is
No, I
moving
mean,
with
just
it. Or
drag it. I mean, we're seeing a stretched out version of it.
well, this is, I'm at 100% in my screen, zoomed,
Right.
you know, not zoomed in, not zoomed out, seeing my screen at proper size, and it's going to move, it's going to respond with it. But again, because the content area is 800, it is a little bit outside of it. This may not matter for a desktop user, but it might matter for a mobile user who can't go smaller.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
and the other thing is, like, you'll see at the first column, communications, and you have the members. I wanted to eliminate the spaces in between those names, and you can't do that.
okay, let's see if we can. It might take a little bit of tweaking in the HTML.
Okay, well, you know what, I don't want to, you can go on to another question. I don't want to bore everybody else with this very specific issue.
and we can, email this stuff, or I can, respond with video as well. Just let me know if you
Okay.
still need any assistance with those.
All right,
No,
that's good for now. Thank you.
Inga, before we
Yes.
leave it, just looking at this, I've tried similar things and given up and said, MyLO just isn't going to do this comfortably for me. And I've rethought how I put my information together.
It looks like I'm probably gonna have to do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also, if you say shift return instead of return between those things, those members, that'll take away the extra line in there.
That
Yeah,
is
well,
a
that's
very good
true
point.
in Word. It's
Well,
things that
I've
work in
said-
Word don't work in
use-
here.
I've used
But I will
that.
try it. I will try it.
Yeah, because we have tried that, the shift enter, and that does work instead of having to jump into the HTML. Thank you for reminding me about that, Liz, because that's what I was
All right, I'll
thinking.
play around
You'd
with
have
that
to get into the HTML to do that.
Can you just show that?
Yeah,
Can you
sure.
show it? Because there's a space just before in the first column, communications. There's a lot of extra space.
Oh, a space up top. I'm not entirely sure.
No, down.
So I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna save any change here, but just to demonstrate what Liz was talking about. So if I backspace with this item here, I'm on the same line as the one before it. And on my keyboard, I'm clicking Shift and Enter.
Mhm.
And that takes us down one line without giving us that paragraph spacing that
Yeah,
we
but
usually.
you also lost the bullet.
Well,
Right.
now we just need to add that back, and it
Oh, there you
should
go.
keep the same spacing.
Great.
Good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and save that just as a draft because that
No,
was
go
what
ahead
you
and
were.
save it. Just save it. Save it
Okay.
and publish it.
Okay.
An improvement. Yeah.
So does that work with the very first one where it says Chair Carol O'Connell?
Yeah, so these three are now together instead of how these two
I
down
know,
here.
I'm talking up at the top where it says Chair Carol
No, because
O'Connell.
that whole row is that same size.
I'm sorry. It just looked to me like there's a space before the word chair, right? A space just.
Oh, yes,
before
yes,
that.
that one. Yes, you're right. Yes. Yeah.
How do you get rid of that?
Let's see. I'm not sure, but we can try that one out. It could just be a space added.
I noticed that Catherine Redwine says she used lists instead of tables. I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
I mean, because rather than spending hours and hours trying to tidy this up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is adding something to the top here.
Yeah, maybe there's a space in the HTML code there.
Oh, good grief.
Let's see. I'm going to try removing this caption HTML. I'm not sure what it's referring to. That did not make a difference though. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what
Is what
that
we,
is.
Oh, you know what? It could be the column setting, the cell setting, and it could be set on center instead of top,
Right. Exactly.
the cell setting. Yeah, which is
Let's
around
see.
there.
This one. No, I think you're good. Let me make sure that I think it's selected. No. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the cell. No, it's all default. I wonder, let's see if we remove the left justify. No. Sorry, before I do that, I need to select the entire table first. There we go. And remove left justify. No.
You may have done it.
I think it's still, no, I'm trying to deselect it, but it looks like it, whoops, is stuck on there. I think that I might have to have our tech team help me out to see what our best tools are here, or if we are able to clean up these tools.
And is the same,
But-
is cutting and pasting an Excel sheet also problematic like a Word table is?
It probably will not keep the tabling. I haven't actually tried that myself. But it may have some formatting that you saw in Excel and you won't see in here in MyLO.
Okay.
Because we do often recommend when you are pasting in from elsewhere to paste in without formatting, because it can cause some issues where you might not be able to remove it, or I guess not remove it within the WYSIWYG. You would have to dive into the HTML and find the specific spots.
Well, it looks like there's the CSS has a lot of settings that you don't have. It's part of choosing that. I mean, if you change it to HTML and it's at the beginning, it tells you what, let's see, class, okay, width, height, border, T. Okay, I'm looking for that. I mean, those classes and things there
Yeah,
might be
this,
things.
I mean, I can remove I was wondering if the left alignment was making any difference, and we can see if, well, the cell padding and cell spacing, again, I can remove them and I won't save the change. I just want to see what difference it'll make. And let's see if that
What about just
changed.
before? Oh,
Sorry, I will jump back. I just wanted to see if that
Yeah.
affected that at the top, and it did not. So coming back over,
so just before Chair Carol O'Connell, we have,
here.
yeah, what's all this?
So this is creating a new row, and then the TD.
But
Whoops.
isn't that the case? We don't really, is it creating a blank row in there?
It is not. It should,
Oh.
let's see, where is the next?
Doesn't the P mean it's a paragraph and that might be adding a space?
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's somewhere in those characters right in there.
You got a lot of
We
paragraphs
can
in there.
try the break instead, but I don't know if it will be too close. So the break that I've added is like the shift return. And I removed the paragraph line. So let's see if we go back. No.
No, you've added. Looks like you've added a line.
Yeah, it is just responding visually. Let's see if I do remove the TR, trying to make sure that I don't have that also anywhere else.
Yeah, but you're getting rid of the row.
Mm.
You have an end row and then you have a new row and you want a new
Yeah,
row.
I do want that. Yeah, so there are only 2 rows in this code.
Mm.
So that makes sense. The TD, I believe, is what is the TD? I'm not very familiar with HTML.
It's a huge TD. I
Yeah, it
think
goes
you
all the way
should
down
make a
here.
list.
Well, I think I can continue playing around with this, Ingi, and try to help. But I do want to try to get to some other questions
Sure,
if anybody.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
want to say that just looking at this, that first column does look like all the text is centered in the in the center of that cell. You know, the top, you know, above chair, and then the bottom, when you scroll down, looks to be about the same size.
Let's
Right.
see if
So
I
it-
wonder.
it seems like there's something that's causing it. You know, the rest are all up at the top, and then they've got a lot of blank space under them, but that first one has the same amount of space at the top and the bottom.
If we had, and I totally see what you're talking about. My first thought was, okay, maybe we have column properties, but we don't. So, and we checked the cell properties. So, I'm not
Align
sure.
top. Yeah, do
Yeah,
a
there-
line top for vertical.
So you've got 2 cells selected right now, right? And you really only want the lower one.
Oh, you
think-
just did it.
I think that was it. So instead of
Yeah.
anything that we had to do in the HTML, I'm going to recreate what I did. So I highlighted the cells that are affected, and we went to cell properties. What was that? Vertical alignment, top.
There you go. That's what I
And
was-
then let's see if it'll do the same. And this time I'm just going to click into the cell. Whether you highlight the whole thing or you clicked into it, it's the same. And then we update. Yeah, awesome. Okay, thank you.
Yay.
That was a group effort.
And is there any way you can make that whole row smaller?
the hive mind.
How there's a lot of space.
The height is just crazy. Make it
Well,
lower.
if
Yeah.
you are trying to change did you say the width or the height?
The height. You don't need all that space below
Oh,
it.
that space under the titles, right?
You can, yeah, you can move it like this. And then from
Well,
here,
what did you do?
How'd you do that?
so whoops, I just slid it up. So down here, my cursor is already on top of the little
Yeah.
box, and I'm just clicking on it and sliding it up. And then before you save it, just swap it from WYSIWYG to full HTML, because then that's going to display the actual shorter table. If you left it as WYSIWYG, our default, display would take over on your table and have it show up how our system dictates.
Oh, gee.
Just the default settings essentially. So any sizing changes may not be visible.
So even though you did them during WYSIWYG, you still have to change it over to HTML and save it as HTML?
Well, for some changes, I think you may be able to see them in WYSIWYG, but we also had the width, the bigger width that we wanted to see. So that was the other reason to have it in full HTML before saving. So we're going to go a little bit longer. I'm going to take a look at the chat for a second. I see that Jan Dai had a question about analytics. I'd like to see how many hits we get from a MailChimp eBlast. Is there a way? Yes. So as long as you have a web page that you're trying to track, then that is what you can use to track your traffic. You won't be able to track an email with Google Analytics, but if you are, providing a link within your email message that folks are going to click to, that's one way to capture your engagement. And then you can see what their behavior is when they're on that page. So it would be probably a similar way to how you set up your Google Analytics, how we just showed that for MyLO. But then the process once you get to MyLO would obviously be different based on whatever other system you're using, like you mentioned MailChimp. That, I hope that answers your question, but it should be possible. You should be able to connect that to your Google Analytics easily. And then Susan Woolley had a question. I'd like to ask about whether SSL certificates are needed if MyLO is protected. MyLO is protected, and the way to know that is that we have the S in our, it's called the protocol. The HTTPS lets you know that it is a secure site, and most browsers do have this little lock that ensures you that the connection is secure. And typically this is just so that your information, especially like payment information, personal information, is kept private. And so we do that, we provide that protection for your sites. And that's the other reason why we want your sites to remain with the address my.lwv.org/yada, yada, yada. That ensures that we are providing every single MyLO site the proper and the same protection. So that also speaks to why your MyLO sites aren't, when if you have a domain using the Hudson link, for example, if you visit lwvhudsonoh.org, you visit the homepage and your address bar gets changed to the MyLO address. That's because we are serving our customers all the same protection, and this ensures that any information that you collect over the website is properly protected. So most of the time, any information that we're collecting is not very sensitive, but just know that regardless of that, the information and the passage of that information is being protected. So the SSL certificate for your domain is not required or necessary for your users' protection. But I would say we have seen maybe a league, or I don't remember a specific league, but I remember hearing mention of Apple at one point possibly updating their settings, their browser settings, and some customers were having issues reaching some sites. If that becomes an issue for your league's domain, then that might be a point to consider an SSL certificate, but that is very rare. We haven't seen any issues come up of folks not being able to travel to sites. But know that the proper protection is being provided with your MyLO address. And then let's see. I'm going to just keep going down the list. Oh, awesome. Yeah, Jan had a question about seeing a table in a mobile device view. Ingy, I'm just going to keep using your site just to show it off. So one thing that all browsers should have available is the developer tools. The web developer tools there's a lot of them, but we're just going to use it for one thing this time. We just want to see what our website here would look like in different screen types. So I right-clicked on my screen and I'm going to inspect. I think that is the term for most web browsers. Inspect brings up this huge menu to the right. It might be a little bit overwhelming because there is a lot going on because it's showing you the live HTML on the page, but we just want to focus on these two little icons here. Let me see if I can zoom in some more. There we go. So, and actually we can ignore the first one right now. This second one where it looks like an iPad standing up and then a phone standing up right next to it, that's going to toggle the device toolbar. And in case you wanted to know the shortcut, once you have the developer window open or the inspect on, you can click on Control-Shift-M all together, and that will open up this toolbar up here. So now up across the screen, I have this word responsive, and yours may read something different, but it should be a drop-down option. I know it's a drop-down because it has the little caret, but when I click on that, I get a list of different devices. So Moto G4, Galaxy S5 Pixels, iPhones, iPads, Surface Duo, Galaxy Nest Hub, multiple different ones here. I imagine if I click on edit, I might get more devices to choose from, but they give you a default list of devices that are probably popular. I don't know if Google is going that far to know that they're popular for our country, but either way, you have devices that most of your folks are probably going to be using. So if I click on one of these, my screen immediately responds to what I just clicked on and you know, shows up in that size, in those dimensions. And
So
now
we're showing then that on the phone, it's going to just cut off the columns, not loop them down below.
and this is because we saved it in the HTML. When it comes to forcing a table into the summary like this, it will by default, or not by default, but it will display exactly the dimensions that are put into the HTML. If we click onto the committee's page, again, we see that happening, the runoff, because this is saved in full HTML. If we saved this table in WYSIWYG, then it would move and respond properly.
But you told us that we needed to save it in full HTML. Am I wrong?
Well, depending on what you're trying to do, EU was trying to see the table with default rows, or not default, but similar sized rows. But that will force it for any kind of device. So it depends on the webmaster, what they want to provide there. If I, let's see, am I able to flip this over?
The landscape.
Yeah, there's usually an easy button to do that with, because then I think I should be able to see the full table there.
I think you're right. We need to avoid tables. It looks like tables cause problems. I just like them visually, you know?
Well, and you might try changing it back to WYSIWYG. Instead of saving it as full HTML, save it as WYSIWYG and see if you do like the widths and all, you know, the look of the table, because then if you do, then it's going to work properly on mobile devices.
Yeah, and I'm glad you showed us this because now we know how to check to see what it looks like on mobile devices.
Yeah. While I'm at it, I'm going to show you how, let's see, on Microsoft Edge as well. Oh, I have it right here. Okay, so if and it can, you can do it on any web page, so not just MyLO sites. It's your browser tools that you're using.
You know, of course, I can't look at this page, the committee page, because I'm not a member. I have no login
Oh, right,
on my phone
right.
or
Yeah.
in general.
So this is Microsoft Edge. I've right-clicked and it's the same term, inspect. It brings up the right-hand side menu. And I know that for Firefox, the menu, I believe, is at the bottom. So it's the same thing, but it's just kind of a different position. And toggle device emulation, it's called on this one, but it's the same thing. Control Shift M, and we click on those little, the iPad and the little phone. And I already had this set to iPhone 5 from a previous, you know, time. And they give the same options. This is, okay, yeah, I have to keep making sure. Is this Microsoft Edge? This looks like, yeah, okay, it is. So it's pretty much exactly the same as Google. Here we go. The rotate is available on Microsoft Edge. Real easy right there. But yeah, that's the developer tools. Does anybody use Firefox? I mean, it might be worthwhile to show it off while we're already here.
I use Safari. So,
I use Firefox.
Yeah, okay. Then
Although
let's,
with MyLO, I usually use not Explorer, but
Microsoft Edge.
yeah. No, Chrome. I use Chrome
Oh,
because
okay.
I can't do resizing in Firefox.
Yeah, that's one thing worth mentioning. If you ever do use Firefox, there's just one little limitation when you're dropping in images or trying to edit an image in the paragraphs. You can't resize them, make them smaller or bigger. Firefox just does not render the resize box around the images. But while I'm here in Firefox, I'm right-clicking, again, inspect. And let's see, where is that? The little icon is off to the right in this one. But again, it's Control Shift M if you're trying to just quickly pull it up. And then again, the little drop down, see what an iPad looks like. Yeah, so it's really fun to look at it too sometimes and just say, oh, this is what it looks like for somebody else. So
well, that's one reason they have all these lists and things, because it works well on different devices. I mean, it's a fairly, I mean, it's a very important object sort of within this whole system, Drupal and MyLO.
Right. Let's see. Sorry, I see. Mary Jo, you have your hand raised.
Can I go?
Yes, yes, yes.
I was just gonna say, I just look at my phone. But anyway, okay, so I've got two items and one I wrote you about, but I want to start with another one. So this morning or yesterday, I went on, was looking at my page and I looked at my front stuff. And we've got I guess you call it an article that has the league logo for the DEI.
Mhm.
And yesterday, it has something new. And looking a little bit, it looks like it's something that leagues used in Ohio somewhere. So I was going to ask the other person who has access if she was fooling around with it. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. You know, first of all, a question, if the league were to change, because I think this came like out of the box, I'm not sure, explains a little bit about DEI, but if the league were to change their logo for DEI with this other one, would it have shown up automatically?
There is a possibility that if you have shared the image to the media library, that a user could have replaced the image, the file.
Really?
That is something that we cannot unfortunately restrict, because if we restrict that right, it restricts additional rights for all webmasters.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, so you think somebody in Ohio was working with their stuff?
and
Yeah.
instead of removing the image, they possibly replaced it. Do you know what the content, what is the content type?
Well, I don't know.
Is it a slideshow item?
No,
Or?
it's not slideshow. It's, like I said, it's on the front page and it's like, we always have it at the bottom. And I don't know if you helped us put it there, but now I know, then okay, so you think that
And-
that's probably what happened. You can see it
And I will
yourself.
double check too, but I'm pretty sure that is the
Wow,
latest that I had gotten.
that's disconcerting. So
Where is it?
It's way down. It's not a slideshow. It's way down on the, just keep going. Keep going. Yeah, see?
This one here.
Yeah. So I wonder, so I should be able to go and work with that, right? And okay, I see what you're,
Well, I wonder if I can see the image. I as an admin should be able to, figure out at least who it was and let them know that, instead of replacing, we should be removing images. But I will double check to figure out how it was done.
yeah, I was going to ask my other person, then I thought, well, this will give me another thing to learn up, because I wanted to go into manage content, and I thought, well, shouldn't it show up somewhere? And so I can see why it wouldn't have, because we didn't change it ourselves.
Right. No, and I think that if it is the case too, I think it's worthwhile to update our documentation.
Yeah, that was kind of scary. Okay, well, I will try myself, and then if that doesn't work, then I'll get back to you, because you're going to be looking at it. But
Yeah.
the other thing, did you get my email from, I think it was Wednesday, about, I got this thing to our Gmail account, info@, saying that we had copyright issues? I sent that to you directly.
Oh, I
you didn't see it.
am not sure.
So
I don't think I saw that.
yeah, so I don't know, really what to do about it. I'm not aware of anything I'm using that's, not crooked.
I think it's junk mail.
I think it probably is. And I did look on, League has some stuff about it, and they did say if there's a link to see what it is, that it's probably junk. So Maddie, you're making me feel really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got
So
it,
some
right?
of you have gotten that.
Especially
We've gotten it. We've
when
gotten it.
they're aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah. If
We're
they're
gonna
ever,
sue you if you don't,
if
contact
they're threatening or being aggressive, or, trying to essentially wag their finger at you with their words, they're usually going to be junk mail. We I have only seen one legitimate one before, and they didn't have a link to the image. They had the image in the email.
Oh,
They had just very clear, terms that, they were trying to get this person's attention because this image was used improperly, blah, blah, blah. So they had a lot of good information that you would expect. And just seeing the picture right there on the page without having to click through to something was
okay.
also super helpful. So yeah, the league is right. If you have links in there, it's usually not, not a legitimate.
And I only got the one, but that leads me to a whole other thing for people just to think about.
Yeah.
And you kind of was that the right word? Referred to it when you were talking about the media library. And I did post something to the new media Facebook, which I think somebody from National looks at. I wish the league would come out with some sort of basic copyright-free graphics we can use, like for a meeting, for a town hall, for a, get involved. I've advocacy. I know I saw that you might have noticed that advocacy somewhere, and I know I remember thinking, oh, they used it, so it must be okay. It must have been a leak. But I've got to start documenting this stuff where I get it from. But anyway,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
and I don't know if there's anything on MyLO where there's where we know stuff is definitely copyright okay. I know that's one of the questions before you put it in the media library. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out because I tell you, it scared me.
Yeah, no, definitely understandable. And that is a good idea. I think all leagues would love to have just a collection of media that they could scour through and say, oh, this is a good one for this thing. We do know of at least sources of these kinds of images. Like, I think it's Creative Commons.
Well, I always use Creative Commons, but they don't have clip art. That's what I like, is the clip art.
Okay.
And then somebody said, well, what is it, Canva or something? But I think you have to create that yourself. I don't want to deal with that. I don't know. So I wish there was a place, and maybe your team can think about it, where there'd be a site for MyLO webmasters where people, can list stuff. And I guess there'd maybe be, what do you call, information about the fact that you can use it.
What it
Anyway.
is. Yeah.
It could have a keyword or something, something that you could search on and you could find.
Like-
We should, maybe there's some kid who wants a summer project or something, and they could make a bunch of these for Mary Jo and the rest of the webmasters.
And that also led me to another question, which would be for Amaris. Do you know of anybody that, is a independent person that would, for a fee, look at somebody's website and look to make sure everything is copacetic? I mean, have you ever heard of something like that? Seems like it'd be a good job.
Right? Yeah. No, I unfortunately haven't. But we have thought about how we might be able to maybe create like an intern type of group, or maybe a high schooler type of group. Younger folks are usually, they can help, and they're usually able to, zip this work up real easily. So training would be probably a second, but we have floated that idea, and I don't think we've put any legs to it yet. We are just recently starting out with a new task force that might be helping us out with MyLO. So that might be something in the future, but unfortunately not anything yet.
One of
They
the
could get,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say they could get community service points or something.
Right. Yeah.
One of the recommendations from the new media Facebook group was something called Noun. And so I got kind of excited and I looked at it, but they're not colored graphics. I don't know but they're all black, and they're like symbols, really. And
okay.
That's not what I want. But that's not what I want.
Maybe you should write it
icon.
up. Maybe you should write a list of what you really want, and we might be able to make it even better and see if we can find somebody who will want to. I mean, maybe there's some kids of the webmasters who'd like to work on it, but they have to work within the constraints of the league.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
and just within
yeah.
the Creative Commons too, like the licenses and making sure that they're free images for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I know we've got one, with the hands sticking up and they're all different colors, get involved. Well, I'm sure that's probably okay to use because everybody in the world uses it. But, you look at it and then it says, maybe you have to make attributions or, maybe copyrighted when you've put clip art free, I don't know.
Well, Mary Jo, I'm curious if you go to your content, your file, your
Well, we're on
graphic.
my page. Go to articles or just go to the front page and you'll see the different
Yeah.
ones like that. But go on, I'm sorry.
Well, I just wondered if we could, if it's still there, the one that you had before as part of your, well, we
Well,
aren't signed.
actually, I took it off. I forget what it was. Oh, and actually it's not on there anymore. Instead of, I had something that I thought of like for a meeting. I don't know if it was people, different, it was clip art, different colors of hands and stuff. And I replaced that with something from the League Flickr, and it was, it's called Citizenship Class. And it's got somebody with a, old blackboard and group of women watching that. So that's what I had used, and I might use that again, but I took it off because the meeting was over. But yeah, if you go, yeah. So
When
that's
you
just our
say you took
slideshow.
when you say you took it off, you use remove, or is it still in the
Oh,
library?
yeah, I just edited it. I removed it. Oh, did I edit or did I remove, Maurice?
I'm
What's the
not
right
sure.
word?
Well, if you were trying to edit the image, that means you're replacing the
I'm
file,
sure
and that's
yeah, because there's two options, and I don't know if I put removed or I put edit. Now that you mention it.
yeah. Let's open up. I'm going to
Ooh.
start a new draft of this one just so that we can take a look at it. So
It's
edit.
not there. It would be under articles.
Well, I'm
or
just going to show this as
events.
an example. Whoops,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. I was just going to say the one I did was under events, past events.
No worries. It can be anyone
right.
here.
Okay.
What do you usually put under articles? We don't have that one on our website.
Oh, lots of stuff. Because they're so easy to do. So most of the stuff on my front page are what I would call, well, they're half and half articles or calendar stuff. But this would be an article.
Yeah, so we're opening up an article here, the new draft. So we have a main image here. So if I want to no longer see this image and I want to see something else as the main image, I need to use remove.
Okay.
And that removes the image from this content.
That's probably what I did. Okay.
If I wanted to edit the file,
remove it. It doesn't remove it though from the media library.
Right.
No.
Right. It does not remove it from the media library. It just removes it from being displayed on this content.
So then I put a new one in. Yeah.
If you wanted to edit the file, the image file, this is where that edit button is used. You would then have the option to replace the file. So that's where we can't restrict the rights because otherwise the media libraries would be restricted as well in its entirety. But this, you can make any additional changes to the file, like the title text that comes up when you hover over it, or the alt text. As the owner of this image, I see show in media library as well. But aside from that, I would see everything else, but not the show in the media library if I didn't own the image. But I would be able to replace the file. So that's why you want to use remove instead of edit. That allows you to, I won't save the change, but once you remove, the browse button comes back up, and that's the way you want to go back into the media browser.
So what did that person from Ohio do? Did she do edit?
That's what I imagine.
Well, does that mean that anybody who has that image so obviously none of you have noticed that.
This is something that we have,
But I mean, the
on
other
over-
webmasters on their own web pages, because I would think everybody would have that somewhere. The DEI logo, I think.
Well, is it still in the media library, the one you had?
let's,
I didn't look.
I'm gonna open, I think, did I open the image already? No. Oh, yes, I did. Okay. So I wanted to see, this is DEI
DEI.
page image version 2. So I wanted to copy the name.
I don't know how you got that, but okay.
So to get to that page, I just right clicked on the image and I
Oh.
open image in new tab.
Thank
Or
you.
actually,
I don't remember seeing it. Okay.
sorry, not that one. Instead of that, open up the page itself. And when we're looking at the image, now I can,
Okay.
how did I? Oh, the link is on the image. That's what I did. I'm sorry. So I just clicked on the image. It is linking to itself. But the other way to find out the name of the file is open the image in a new tab.
Oh, maybe I didn't right click. Maybe I just kind of clicked it and that's why nothing came up. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, when you click it, this page comes up just because the link is leading here, and I'm not sure why, but the DEI page image version 2, that was the original name of the file. And then when we look here, we can see that it was renamed to RT logo. I'm going to see if I can, well, I would be able to help you, Mary Jo, as an admin. I'm going to,
Yeah, go for it. I hope this helps other people because this was a shocker for me.
I think
Yeah,
I
well,
put that Real Talk on our website, which is Hudson, but I don't know why Real Talk went to everyone else's.
Well, I know it's something, there's a group in Ohio somewhere that's called Real Talk. At least
Right.
that's what yeah.
4 different leagues in Northeast
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah.
And I added it to our calendar page with that logo, but I didn't mean it to go to everybody's.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. So if you were working on a page that had this DEI image where it was the hands going in a circle, if you started out with a page that had that image, that's probably the case. And then instead of removing the image, I'm assuming that the edit button was used.
Could
So
be.
this is something that, I mean, yes, it would be helpful for everybody, but I don't think it's helpful for everybody to watch me do it.
I will take it off.
Well, what you can do is just upload a new version of the Real Talk image, and you can leave this one as is because I'm going to come in and replace the file once again. So
Thank you.
yeah. It is something that, like I said, I think I need to update our documentation with. I don't think that warning is very clear. So yeah, it's something that we just all need to be aware of because we want to make sure you all have the same permissions and rights that you have now to be able to edit your sites as you do. Because otherwise,
I mean, if somebody clicked edit, that's up, you'd get a pop-up box that said, please note that you're blah, 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 or whatever. So people know what that really means.
that is a good,
That's what that's what I want.
I will ask our team if that's possible.
How can I edit the site for everyone else? I could edit my site, which is Hudson, but I'm just amazed I could put something out that everyone would see.
It is not editing the site. You actually edited the file. So that's what is shared the most across all leagues. It's the media library. And so that's how it was shared out, because instead of removing it, it was the file itself that was replaced.
And maybe the safest thing, I'm thinking, I don't know how this would work, but she should have just put that, well, maybe not. I see you put it in the general one because there were 3 other leagues that could use it. I get it. Okay.
And actually, let's see
Instead
if
of
I
putting it in my
can.
files.
No,
Okay.
I just put it on our Hudson site. I didn't mean for anyone else to see.
No,
it.
but I mean, when you first brought the picture in to the media library, you can choose whether it's my files or it's the whole media library.
Okay, I just thought it was my files.
Okay.
It is just simply about the way that it was first uploaded. So
Okay.
it's if you edit an image, and it's really only the let's see if I have a page open. Here we go. Coming back to any piece of content that gives you a main image field or an alternate hero image field, those are the 2 that are affected by this. So if you had the image in the body, you could easily remove it by, backspacing or whatever. But when it comes to images here in the main image and alternate hero image field, you have the remove and the edit button. So always use that remove, and then you'll start fresh with the browse button.
So
Oh, wow.
for clarification, when we talk about the media library, images are one type of file, but all our other files are also in the media library, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a question, comment, clarification kind of thing. Because I upload PDFs to the media file for our voter newsletter. And there's another league that's also LWVVC. I forget exactly what their VC stands for. Ours is Ventura County.
Oh my
And
God.
so I had put a voter PDF out there and linked to it. And a couple of weeks later, a week later, I clicked on it and it had disappeared. And I went and I looked, and it had been deleted by somebody else, which I did not know you could do. But, I always put it out there as shareable because I want to make sure anyone who wants to see it can see it. I'm not sure if that's the thing to do, but so it looked like somebody from the other LWVVC group thought that, oh, we don't need this. We're putting an updated one and deleted mine. So I just wanted to check with you to see if that is how that works, because I did write to them. I don't think I ever got anything back from them, but I just thought it would be, good to know that other people can delete your files.
Well, let's double check that, because that should not be the case as far as deleting them.
But yeah, it was gone. It was
So
completely gone. And so when I clicked on my link, it went to a broken link,
and
Wow.
are you the only one with webmaster access?
I'm the only one who does that sort of thing in our league. There's nobody else who would be out there messing with the files.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure, because I'm not able to delete. I can replace a file, but I'm not able to delete it. So I'm not sure if that was the issue. It could be another issue that caused the link to be broken. We might have to look into that, because regardless of the
The
file type
was gone. That's what I'm saying. The file had disappeared.
Oh, this
It
is
was
a
gone from-
PDF. A PDF disappeared of the newsletter?
Yeah.
So the whole, wow.
Right. I would use, like the file function to upload the newsletter, and then I'd open it and get the link and, link to it from my newsletter page. And the file that I had uploaded, the PDF, no longer existed in the library. And what I noticed when I did a search was that there were also newsletters out there for the other LWVVC, and they had uploaded one between when I uploaded mine, and they were both for November, I think, either October or November. And so that seemed like the most logical explanation, except that it seemed weird that someone else could delete a file that I had uploaded.
Right. Yeah, because it is not possible, at least
If
through
it's in her
here.
files, if it's in my files, how can somebody go in? How
She
can
did,
anybody?
she did share it to
Oh,
the,
you shared
to
it?
the, she shared it to the whole media library, let it be displayed in the whole media library, but that
Why?
doesn't, well, regardless of that, that doesn't
Yeah, all right,
provide permissions to delete it regardless. So
right.
I'm not sure if maybe the system broke the link or something, or just ate up the file. I'm not sure what the cause is, but I don't imagine that it was somebody else deleting it.
So that's not something that should be able to happen, even though I've shared it and everyone can see it.
Yeah, let me see if I'm able to double check that with
I mean, if
able
you
to make a
wanted,
new draft. No, I'm going to try it. Here we go. I have an article here that I have a main image on. I want to see if through the edit, if it gives me an option to delete from here. So, because again, I have the same options that I had before, but I only have a cancel button. Usually there's a delete button for your own, I believe. Like for you, like if you own the files. But I'm not able to delete it from there either. And actually, we were talking about a PDF, so that wouldn't be the case for
Right.
that one.
so if you went into files, you know, if you want to try deleting my newsletter, I can put it right back. You know, or we are running out of time. So, you know, I just wanted to run that by you because that just seems
sure.
like a really strange thing. And it would be nice to be aware of it.
Oh,
if
yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah, no, we definitely want to make sure that we're on top of any things like that if user permissions are out of place or anything. But I think that we're good there, but I would like to look at your site, or you know, I might poke around and see what the files were looking like. If you're able to send me the link to the page too, that'd be
Yeah,
helpful.
like I said, I fixed it. I just put it back out there.
Mhm.
You know, and
But I'm assuming older versions, older revisions of that page have the old link. Is that possible?
probably,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, and
It might be helpful to look at, because I can even ask our tech team if they have any idea what could have happened. But it's worth looking at.
Can you use wildcards on this search?
I don't believe so. I feel like we tried that before. Let's see.
Well, that's what I want to use.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
it has wild cards on
LWV.
both sides, right?
And we mean wild card, like using the asterisks at the end.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's try that. It does not. So,
Okay.
and I think we might have tried this one. I think the search is,
Okay.
oh, it will bring up, I was going to say it's only going to bring up what it begins with. Like I thought this was going to be our only result because it begins with LWV, but it does also bring up results that have LWV anywhere in the title.
So that's great.
Once I start to, you know, add more, if I added a space, I probably won't get the same results. I get LWV space. So it is very literal, whatever you're typing in. I think even quotes won't translate. So type exactly what you're looking for.
Well, this name, when you enter it, when you're uploading an image, you can change the name. I think it's the name that you can change to anything
Yes.
you want. Well, what if these people and the other VC people, I like the Viet Cong, the other VC people use the same name?
The same, if a file is named the same as another file, that's fine. The file name, let's see if I can find one. Well, let's go ahead and edit this file name. It is by default taken from my computer. This is what it was called in my computer, LWVCEF, and then they added .png because that's the type that it is. So let's just call this ed fund image. So that's renaming it in the MyLO system. And see, because I own this image, I'm able to delete it. So that's, if they were logged in as you, that would be one way, but let me go ahead and save the change to that. Whoops. Now I need to find it. Ed. There we go. Okay. So the ed fund image, let me go ahead and click on it. I just wanted to show off that the name itself does change within MyLO, but when I click on the image and just see it in its own page, we see that the device original file name is still attached to the URL. So it's, you know, that might not even affect you at any time, but if somebody liked this image and they wanted to find it in the media library, you know, if they come across this image in the wilds of MyLO and they say, "Ooh, I want to use that on my site," the trick usually is to, you know, open. Well, if you see the image, you would right click it and you would have an option to open image in a new tab. But this, I just click on it and you would get the address here at the top. And typically, if the file name and the name within MyLO match, you can search for it really easily. But if the name has been changed, it'll be a little bit harder to find. But that's, you know, not an issue that you need to keep over your head as you're uploading images. It's just one thing that we've said before, like a tip.
So it's sort of like a nickname for that file,
Yeah,
but it's attached. It's your nickname.
Your nickname for that file, and it's for the media library.
I could have a different one. I could have a different one, or could I? Could I have a different nickname?
It's the same name for the entire media library. So if you're seeing it in the media library, if I'm seeing it in the media library, we're seeing the same name.
And it will catch. I'm sorry, Alexa. Scott.
She just wants to discuss with you right now.
So I don't know. Anyway, so if you use the same nickname, I use the same one as you, which, but it might be for a completely different file. How do those nicknames work? Do they check to see if that nickname's been used?
I don't think that there's
How to get
any.
multiple pictures.
Well, you can have multiple pictures, whether they're the same picture or different types of pictures named the same within the MyLO system. The unique identifier is the URL for the image itself. So if you had a file name of exactly the same name as one that you uploaded previously, I think the system automatically attaches a 0, a 1, you know, how we usually see in our MyLO sites when you have pages of the same name, the URLs differentiate by adding a -0, -1, -2. I think that it's the same way for our media library. So you could have images titled the same exact thing and there wouldn't be an issue.
And you and I could have, if I did a search in there, shareable, I could see both of them.
Yeah, if I did view all files, we probably, if I searched voter with some month, we probably would have a lot of files with the same name. Well, similar.
Look at that. Look at that.
But yeah, if any of these were didn't have those abbreviations, it is possible. And obviously, like Maddie was saying, that there were other files that were named exactly the same. They are able to be in the system because the URLs are what make them different.
Wow.
Maurice, when you were first talking about, adding pictures to the media library, I think there's 3 different places where you have to type in something. Did you say the third one was the one that will actually be searched in addition to the URL?
Was it when I edited an item, like a file?
No, just if you're adding a new pic to the,
Oh.
you have to go through, answer all these questions.
Uh-huh.
And there's 3 places. So first of all, the first line has the exact URL or whatever it is. Then there's 3 places like, I don't know, title and, the one for the disabled people. And then the third one. And I think you said the third one was, so like if I wanted to put Saturday night's meeting, or backyard picnic. And that picture that name wasn't at all in the official one, but I knew it that way. If I looked under either the official one, or if I looked under backyard, I would find it. And I'm just trying to say, I think it was the third section where it's a big box.
This one, yes. Okay, yes.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
yes,
File
that
description, yeah.
yes, that is another one of the items you can search by when you're in managed files. So
Okay.
Mary Jo was referring to the name. That's one portion that we use to search for that item again. And then the file description was the other one.
Okay.
So anything you put in either one of those when you are on your manage files page, let's see, take me home. Anytime that you're searching through your own files, remember that when you click on manage files, you're looking at your own files, and then click on view all files to see the entire library. So the name is what you search by, and then the description contains, and you can click any portion, and you can also search by users, type of file, and then the media tags or issues associated with the file. But yes, the description, that another thing about that, it's only visible to webmasters that edit this image, or when you're searching the
When
media library.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Okay. And then Ingy, I am finally getting back around to you. Sorry, I see that your hand was raised for quite a minute. Did you still have a question?
You're muted, Inge.
I'm gonna go ahead to, oh yeah.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Is there a way to link your constant contact newsletters to, the website?
Like to display them?
Yeah, like how do you load up the newsletters? There's an easy way to do that, but we don't have to cover that today. I'm just, if there's a quick answer to that, that would be great.
I don't have a quick answer myself, but I can at least.
I can quickly say, yes, there is a way to do it. And Amaris helped me with it. There is somehow when you're on constant contact, there's a,
Oh, that's
somehow you have
right.
to go into archive and I'll give you some HTML, but then that HTML has to go somewhere on the website. And that's where Amaris helped me. But then,
So,
yeah.
And Mary Jo, was that was a list of the documents within your constant contact? Was that correct?
Well, what happens is I do a newsletter, and then after it's gone out, you're not going to do it, 3 days later, or that's already passed. Then I make a copy of it and I put archive, and then I go into and this person will know. Then I go into campaigns and I make it archive. And so then a few minutes later, it'll show up. Yeah, you got it right there. And
Okay, yeah.
I removed my old ones per what the league said. So the answer is yes.
Good on you, Mary Jo. So this is like Mary Jo was saying, is a live, like it updates itself as she makes the updates in constant contact.
Oh, that's good.
Well, there is a place I have to go into, if you go up, into moderate, whatever it is, and then I have to replace
The latest edition, right?
Oh, there it is, the latest edition. I have to, because each campaign has a unique URL, and then that's what I have to go in to substitute from what, was in the last.
And look at that.
that
You
where I
can
do
sign
it?
up for the
Is that where I
newsletter too. That's
Um,
nice.
Yeah, so this list down here, we pulled the HTML code from Constant Contact so that to build this list. So we didn't type out, LWV DDH news, comma,
Oh.
November 2021 and add the link. It is done automatically with the HTML code that we put in there because Constant Contact is doing all the work.
Yeah, and
Um,
actually the archive process is different than the latest edition, now that I think about it. And
When, as you
so
said, this, you're manually changing the latest edition button
that's where I
each
do
time.
it. Okay, I couldn't remember. All right.
Yeah, right now I'm not logged in as you, so
Oh, you could,
I-
yeah. got
yeah,
it,
I don't have the full
Got it.
moderate tabs,
got it.
but that's one option, Ingy. If you're looking to, like, instead of seeing a link and then clicking over to it, if you wanted to see this on MyLO, you'd have to check in with
No,
Constant
I think that's
Contact.
fine. I
Okay.
think that what you've got there is fine. We just need to duplicate that.
Yeah, so I will, if you can send me a note about that, I'll do my best to try to find. I think we probably had some notes on that, Mary Jo. If you happen to remember, Mary Jo, when we did that
Well,
too.
frankly, I probably ended up calling Constant Contact, also after I talked to you, and then they talked to me about the HTML and all that.
To provide it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you will definitely have to connect with Constant Contact to get that, or
Well,
go through
there may be, yeah,
go through the account and find the code.
yeah, they'll
yourself.
tell you where to go.
All right, well, it's good to know you can do that though. That's gonna
Yeah,
make
no,
life
it's
easier.
great. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
and then
a-
I think, was this something similar, a Constant Contact link, so that they can subscribe to your newsletter as well?
Yeah.
And this just brings up this little sign up.
Yeah, I think, so that probably comes to me.
Yeah,
And-
and it's depending
yeah.
on how you have
Well,
it
it's a
set up in Constant
thing,
Contact.
yeah, right,
Mhm.
yeah. No, that's great.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all.